the rock comp now. I got a lesson the Lord let me look at today. It's called The Character of a Man. And I'll be doing the character of a woman soon. But since, I'm looking for a good man, and most all women need to be doing that, we need to know what to look for. Not only that, but the men need to know what women will be looking for. We don't need to be going out here uneducated, unaware of what character this man should have. So the Lord gave me, and we read the book of Ruth. And that is the person that I want to discuss, is the man in that story. The star of the show in that story, his name was Boaz. Now, I did a study on the character of Boaz because as I'm reading it, there are places in there that talked about how, she had went in to this new city. She didn't know anybody, okay? And she had moved back with her widowed mother-in-law because she was a widow as well. Both of them were widows. And so the mother-in-law tried to help Ruth to figure out what she was going to do because she doesn't have a husband now. She's fairly young. She had no children at this point. The really cool thing about it is that I found is that Boaz was like a great great grandfather, excuse me, of David. Obed was the father of Jesse, I believe it was. And so you've got the line that goes to King David, which eventually goes to Jesus, all in this story about Ruth. So here's the cool thing, ladies, and especially gentlemen, because I'm trying to help you realize the character of a man and what God wants you to do as your responsibility as the man. Women, you should be looking for these characteristics in a man. Until that comes, don't get excited. Don't let your passions and your desires for a husband move you into the next step when he's not even doing what he should be doing for you. As we read through it, I'm going to go over this. I kind of went and did a study on it, and it printed out. I mean, I've got quite a few pages of the character of Boaz. So our discussion today is going to be on how to get ourselves to be in the position to find a Boaz husband or to be a Boaz husband. Hi, good to see you. So let's go ahead and get started. The character of Boaz, a study of a godly man. Boaz is one of the most respected men in Scripture. His story is found primarily in the biblical book of Ruth. Hi, good to see you. While he is often remembered as the man who married Ruth, this true greatness is seen in his character long before that marriage ever took place. Boaz serves as an example of what it means to live with integrity, compassion, responsibility, and obedience to God. A man of God. The first thing we notice about Boaz is his relationship with God. When he arrived at his fields, he greeted his workers, first thing off, by saying, "The Lord be with you." And they answered, "The Lord bless thee." That's in Ruth chapter 2, verse 4. This simple interaction shows that Boaz, his faith was not something he practiced only in worship. It was part of his everyday life. A person's character is often revealed in how they treat those who work for them. Boaz treated his laborers with respect and kindness. There is no indication of harshness or oppression. Instead, there is a mutual honor between Boaz and his workers. A character trait that Boaz had says God-centered leadership, a compassionate provider. Let's look at that. When Ruth came to glean means that she would work the fields behind the harvesters, and whatever was left she would take home for herself and her mother-in-law, who were both widows. So when Ruth came to glean in his fields, Boaz immediately showed kindness towards her, according to the law, to God's law. Landowners were to leave portions of their harvest for the poor, widows, and foreigners. Many people may have followed the letter of the law, but Boaz went beyond what was required. He instructed his workers to allow Ruth, a foreigner. She was not even from Israel. She was a Moabite woman. She had no right to do it at all. But because she had married into the family line, he considered her kinship. He instructed his workers to allow Ruth to gather grain freely, and even told them to purposely leave extra grain behind for her to collect. He also invited her to eat with his workers and made sure she had enough food. We're talking about Boaz. We're talking about a godly man. Thank you for coming in, Justin. I hope that you'll stay so you'll learn how to be a godly man. Thank you. Boaz saw a need and met it generously. This is a character trait. Boaz had compassion and generosity for others. Now we're going to look at his protector of the vulnerable. This is the part that men need to understand, that a lot of times men just go, oh, it isn't my problem, let's move on. And they let the innocent and the vulnerable be mistreated. Okay, Ruth was in a dangerous position. She was a widow, a foreigner from Moab, and without a husband to protect her. In ancient society, this left her vulnerable for mistreatment. Boaz specifically instructed his young men not to touch her or to harm her. That's in Ruth chapter 2, verse 9. He also told Ruth to stay close to his servants, where she would be safe. This was more than simple kindness. Boaz used his authority to protect someone who had little power to protect themselves or herself. Many people with authority use it for personal gain. Boaz used his authority to serve and protect others. Here's another character trait. He had protective strength. A man who honored family responsibilities. Boaz was a near kinsman of Naomi's family, which was the mother-in-law of Ruth. Under Israelite law, a close relative had certain responsibilities towards family members who had fallen into hardship. Boaz did not ignore those responsibilities. That's what I'm talking about. Men, this is what you need to observe. Help out when you can. If someone is in trouble, especially if they're in your family. When he learned of Naomi's situation and Ruth's loyalty to Naomi, he began acting with concern for their welfare, for both of them. Later, when the opportunity arose to redeem the family inheritance and care for Ruth, Boaz pursued the matter properly and lawfully. He did everything with the utmost respect. See, that's the key. It's not an underhanded way. It's not trying to sneak somebody in and trying to sneak in your way and trying to gaslight women and try to treat women as if they're below you and that they don't deserve anything any better than the treatment that you give them. That is not a godly man. If you want to be a godly man, look to Boaz, and he will show you how to be a godly man. Rather than asking, what do I have to gain? He asked, what is the right thing to do? See, there's the difference. What's the right thing to do in this situation? Character trait, responsibility, and faithfulness. A man of integrity. One of the most remarkable moments in the story occurs when Ruth approached Boaz at the threshing floor. Boaz could have taken advantage of this situation because she came vulnerably to him. Instead, he acted honorably. He treated Ruth with dignity and immediately addressed the legal matters that needed to be settled before any marriage could occur. He informed her that another relative had a closer claim than he did and promised to resolve the issue according to God's law. His response demonstrated self-control and integrity. Not out here trying to make women do things you want to do for your own lustful reasons, which a lot of men do. And back then, nothing's changed under the sun. Let me just tell you. And so he could have taken advantage of that situation, but he did not. He said, I will handle this as quickly as I can to get it sorted out for you. Trying to help this woman who was in need and associated with his family. Got me? He was no relation to this woman, but they were of relation through the sons. All right, next, Boaz wanted to do what was right. That's the question. When you get into a relationship with a woman or children or another man or coworkers or workers, what are you giving off as your persona? Are you a man of integrity? Are you a man of someone who has self-control? Boaz wanted to do what was right, even if it meant losing the opportunity to marry her. That would have been the wrong thing to do, go in and underhandedly take the girl. You know what I mean? So he wanted to do everything the way the Lord wanted him to do it. That's integrity. That's good character, good responsibility, and faithfulness. This next character trait says integrity and self-control. A man who praised godliness. Boaz noticed Ruth's faithfulness long before he considered marriage. He had heard how Ruth left her homeland and cared for Naomi after the death of her father-in-law and her husband, her other two sons. Naomi lost her husband and two sons to death. He had heard how Ruth left her homeland and cared for Naomi after the death of her husband. He recognized her sacrifice and praised her for her devotion. Boaz valued character over her appearance. He valued over the appearance, status, or nationality. So he wanted to look at her character and what type of woman she was. And that's when he recognized that he wanted to have a woman who was faithful to her family, who was kind and gentle. All of these attributes that Ruth showed, her humbleness, how she addressed him and asked him to help take care of her family. She came and did as Naomi had suggested. so that she would be able to do it the way that the people of Israel did. She didn't want to go out of the way and do something different. Boaz looked at her faithfulness and godly conduct. Ruth was a foreigner. This teaches us that godly people often recognize and appreciate godliness in others. This character trait shows discernment and respect for virtue. The next one says he was a redeemer. Boaz ultimately became Ruth's kinsman redeemer. He redeemed the land belonging to Naomi's family, and married Ruth, providing security and a future for both women. This act reflects one of the Bible's beautiful themes, redemption. So they had lost everything. Everything. And Boaz came in and redeemed. He was their kinsman redeemer, meaning that he came in and helped them when they could not be helped by anyone else. Boaz willingly used his resources, influence, and position to restore what had been lost by these two women when the husbands and the men in this family passed away. Because of his faithfulness, Ruth became part of the family line that eventually led to King David and ultimately to Jesus Christ. Now, let me tell you something. I believe that the characteristics of Christ and of David, mostly of Jesus Christ, showed from this grandfather or great grandfather, whatever it was, of Boaz. He was a man of good character, and he passed that down throughout his kinship. Ruth and Boaz became the great grandparents of King David. The character trait that shows here is sacrificial love and redemption. Ladies, look for sacrificial love. Somebody comes out and holds an umbrella for you in the rain. That's amazing. That happened one time in my life. I'm like, what in the world? That's crazy. I never knew somebody would even do that, ever. I would probably do that, honestly. I think I've done that for my mom and dad and different things like that. So, lessons we can learn from Boaz. Boaz teaches us that true greatness is not measured by wealth, power, or position. His greatness came from his character. He was God-fearing, generous, compassionate, protective of the vulnerable, responsible toward the family, honest and trustworthy, respectful toward women, obedient to God's law, patient and self-controlled, willing to redeem and restore others. Here's my conclusion. Boaz stands as one of Scripture's finest examples of biblical manhood. He used his strength to protect, his wealth to provide, his influence to serve, and his faith to honor God. He cared for widows, protected Ruth from harm, fulfilled his family responsibility, and acted with integrity even when nobody was watching. Even when nobody was watching. That's good. See, sometimes I've had people come in my life who would do things and be, I'm just going to be straight with you. Can I be vulnerable? I've had men approach me in a desiring way, desiring me. And I basically had to reject them. But when I rejected them, because this was done in secret and I didn't go tell everybody and their mother about their wickedness, then they turned it around because I didn't want nothing to do with them. They didn't get their way. And then I became the bad person. That's how this story gets flipped. But you see, that may be something that happens in this world, and there may be people out there that runs your name through the dirt. But guess what? God sees exactly what they have done, and they will pay for what they do. And when they do those types of things to you, you are a child of God. I hate to think about, because he said that those type of people that are the ones that try to make stuff happen and cause conflict and keep stuff stirred up and false witness. When there is a false witness involved, yeah, your story is your story, my story is my story. But here's the point: what's the truth? I may not be perfectly innocent, but we need to look at the whole picture. And if you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a man, God sees that. I have to learn how to be I have to learn how to put boundaries up. Ladies, our biggest concern about finding a man is having our boundaries and realizing that we can't go out every Friday night, because every time you go out Friday night, you're putting yourself into a situation where you could be hurt. Go to church. You could find a man there. And guess what? If you can't find a man there, if they all stop going to the bar, they'll either all become, LGBTQ or whatever, or they'll come to church, which I'm hoping they'll pick the latter, right? So we've got to be particular, because here's number one: they have to stand before God for themselves, and we have to stand before God for ourselves. So let's make choices that we don't let some man come in and try to sweep us off our feet and take us out and do what they want and behave the way they want and mistreat you and do all the things that men do. Women, we have got to keep our security within ourselves, knowing that God has got someone out there who will respect you, who will love you the way you're supposed to be loved. He will help you all along your life. No, I'm not. I'm absolutely straight. If that was you trying to hit on me, I'm not interested. They asked if I was gay. Okay. Never heard that one before. Let's see. Next it says, his life reminds us that godly character is revealed not by public achievements, but by daily acts of faithfulness, kindness, and responsibility, and obedience to God. Long before Boaz became Ruth's husband, which ended up them being the great great grandparents of King David. Eventually, they ended up, having Jesus. So all of that happened. It wound up in the Bible. So to me, that's an example of what we need to do as Christians. We need to continue in righteousness, seek out righteousness, because if we don't, we're going to go too far. We're going to go into sin too far. I tell you, I've heard it said a couple of times: sin will take you farther than you want to go and keep you there longer than you ever meant to stay. So when you go and hang out at the bar or hang out at the local club, do what the people do, drink or do whatever they do, guess what? You're going to end up having the same kind of lifestyle that they do. And you've got to come, like I've heard older people say, cream has to rise. So you need to be like cream and rise to the top. Don't get caught up in the ways of this world. Got me? Next it says, Boaz, long before Boaz became Ruth's husband, he had already proven himself to be a great man, because he consistently chose to do what was right in the sight of the Lord. And that's what we need to do. So ladies, I'm trying to help you realize that Boaz, Jesus was a great man in the Bible, but it never talks about a relationship. As far as, I mean, he had relationships. Think about the two women that were Lazarus's sisters. He took care of them. Tried to help them. One of them came and washed his feet with her hair. They had relationships, but I've never seen it shown where they ended up getting married. And so, ladies, this is what I'm saying. Let this Boaz and Ruth story help you to find your Boaz. because it's important that you recognize all of these character traits: God-centered leadership, compassion and generosity, protective strength, responsibility and faithfulness, um, integrity and self-control, discernment and respect for virtue, and sacrificial love and redemption. These are important traits for a man to have. Women, it's important for us to know that, so that we know what to look for in a man. If you don't see them being kind to the people who can't help them back, then there's a character flaw. There, if somebody steals from you, I had men come in my life and stole from me. That's not a man of God. It's not. And that's what I'm saying. We got to understand these precepts and understand God's way of doing it, so that way we don't get into a marriage that ends in divorce. They will end in divorce. If you choose the men who do all of these things, there you go. I've read it to you. If you'd like a copy of it, I've got it saved on my computer. Send me your email and ask for the Boaz lesson that I've read today, and I will send that to you. All right. So that was my little thing for today. I hope you guys got something from it, because I loved it. I know that I've been like kind of toying with it and asking the Lord, I want to be with somebody. I don't want to be alone. I've even signed up for dating apps, even Christian dating apps. I don't want to pay the money for it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they have, one of them has, like, for one night every month or something, you can go free and do like a quick 5-minute thing. Honey, first thing off, is you're a Christian? Are you a Christian? What's your denomination? You know, like, I'm asking them all the questions that I know are not going to work for me. Can't do it, so um don't want to go back and mess with the ones I had before, because there were some character flaws in every single one of them. I'm looking for a brand new man, honey. Give me a brand new man, one that doesn't do all that crazy stuff. I need a man with integrity. I need a man that needs a good woman in his life to help him do better in his life, because ultimately I'm a helper. As you can see, I've got my own thing going right now. If I had a man, I'd probably set this aside and help him, but that's not happened. All the integrity of the men that I've dated have not been a very good example. Liars, cheaters. Whoa. The Lord doesn't, or not the Lord, but the devil doesn't try to attack me or stop me from talking about it. Well, guess what? It ain't going to happen. Because I say the Lord knows that I do not want to be alone. I shouldn't have to be alone. Women are susceptible. They really are, to this world's craziness. And they need a good man to take care of them, period. That's just how it is, in my opinion. You may be as strong as a man. You may be able to do every single thing a man can do. I promise you. You could even be one of them fighting dudes and be able to handle it. But why would you want to? Why won't you just let a man be who a man is and just be the woman in his life? See, our curse was to simply give birth, and I did already. I can't have no more. I did my job. Now I just want to be with somebody that loves me and helps take care of me as I grow older. I don't want to be alone. I'm sure that's a lot of your all's ideas. And why would you get married to someone that you're not really sure that it's going to last? Let me tell you something. If it's just you and him, both of you can walk away. But when it's you and him and you're both serving God and you're both going in that direction and you're both sold out for God, then you have nothing to worry about. Pretty sure God will get your marriage through whatever you have to encounter. I'm praying for your marriage right now. I've had enough of them to know the difference in a good marriage and in a not good marriage. So I'm praying for your marriages and your relationships right now. I want you to have the best relationship the rest of your life. Even if I don't have that, I pray that for you. I would never ask or wish anything bad on anybody. Okay, I'm trying to always help guide people back to the safe place, because way too many people here in the world are all too fast to jump on the rebellious wagon. Oh, I'm tough. I got it. Oh, honey, everybody can do that. All of us can do that. I've had some really nasty attitude stuff going on in my life, but I did not like how it turned out. And I didn't like me when I got done acting like that. I couldn't even believe I had that in me. A lot of the times, I don't want to live like that. I want to be happy and joyful and enjoy my life and share it with someone who wants to do the same. So here's the thing. Like I said, you got to have, first of all, women, do you have a good integrity? Are you willing to help if you were married, the mother-in-law who became a widow, are you willing to help a widow? Or is that above you? Yeah, I'm not doing that. Or below you, I'm sorry. Are you above that or below? Is it below you? You wouldn't do that? I have a lot of people I know that have the nastiest attitude towards their parents or grandparents. I'm just like, what is wrong with you? Do you not know what the Bible says about that? I can tell you right now. If you do not respect your parents, you will not have a long life, period. So, all of you who think you're cocky enough and you're good enough to do whatever this and that, you will have to talk to the Lord about that if He unalives you before your time has been fulfilled because the way you're acting. You better get yourselves in check. I don't have to do it. The Lord rebuke you. That's what I say. Stop hurting the elderly. Stop hurting little kids. If you're not a good mom and you don't think you're going to be a good mom, don't have no kids. Don't do it. Straight up. If you do, give them to somebody that wants them. Just saying. And by the way, I want to put this little plug in. I know of a person personally who fosters children. And so when and if I ever do find another person, I would like to do that. I would like to foster kids. Because a lot of times the children who are put into the system, they didn't mean to get there. They didn't try to get there. They had no reason to be put into that situation. Mom or dad had something happen that caused them not to be able to provide for their children. But I would love to be able to help kids. It's a hard situation. I talk to my friend about it all the time, and the kids, they have to learn how to live with you, and then they get pushed around a lot of times. They get pushed around in the system, and that makes the kids a little bit bitter. And so what I want to do is whenever I get them, I want to kind of help them for the understanding that this is what you've gotten dealt. It's not your life. That doesn't mean that you are a bad person. It doesn't mean that you have anything wrong with you. And it's not always going to be this way. This is just a step that you have to walk through. You have to walk through the things, and we don't understand why men and women can't do like the character that I talked about today in the Boaz story. But there's a lot of people who do not have that ability. I see you, number 67. Do you want me to go ahead and block you? Wow. Okay, we'll just go ahead and do that. Hide user on this channel. That sounds good. I'm just waiting to see if they do it again. That's what I'm talking about. You see what I had to do? I had to put a boundary in because somebody pushed too far. Ladies, that's what happens with us. The men push too far, and we are either too vulnerable, can't fight ourselves, or we give in because we've been abused and we don't want to go through it again. That's what I can tell you. So, ladies, until you find the man, stay home with your family. You ain't got to move out. More than likely, they don't want you to move out until you find a good man. See, I didn't find a good man before I moved out. I did all the things. I'm the poster child for what I'm telling you not to do. If you want to listen to anybody else's sin, listen to mine so I can help save you from doing it. See, there's a story in the Bible about this man who went to hell. and he had a brother and a father up in the up on the earth, and he was down in hell, burning up, miserable, nothing to drink. He said, "Can you send whoever, I don't remember who it was, to go over and put a drop of water on his finger from my mouth?" And whoever it was, the devil or the Lord, I don't know, said, "No, I can't do that." And he said, "Can I at least go back and tell them not to come here?" So that's what I'm trying to do. First of all, I want to help you to find Jesus, because that's the only way to get back to the Father. We are too messed up in this world. No prophet or no what all they call them, Muhammad and Buddha. They're not going to help you get there. The blood that Jesus sacrificed on the cross, and with the stripes that he took, it's just like the Bible says in Old Testament. If you don't believe nothing else, it's like the cross, the idol thingy that was lifted up that had the snakes on the top that healed them when they got bit by a snake. That's what Jesus represented. He was the sin that was placed on the pole, and when the people would look up at it, they would be saved. So we have to look to Jesus to be saved. And all you have to do is say, "Lord, I want you to take over my life. I want you to be my Lord and Savior. I want you to own me. I want you to give me your precepts and your understanding," just like a child. Just like, for instance, when they're real little, because when they get older and they get in the world, honey, they don't even care about mom and dad at that point. But when they're real little, they're so cute, because the little boys will say, "I want to go hang out with daddy. I want to be just like daddy. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be this." And the little girl, "I love daddy." It's mostly about daddy. Can I say? Now, little boys might want to marry mama. That happens too. But the kids always want to they want to be like somebody in their life, mom, dad, or grandpa, or somebody. And so that's how we are. We want to be like Christ. We want to be like him. First of all, if you want to make it to heaven and be like Christ in that way and get your eternal life to a place like that, you got to turn your life and your will over to God and say, "I'm done trying it my way, Lord. I already have. And I've seen other people do it their way, and look what it left them." Can I tell you, most of the people who have done things their way, some of them aren't even alive because of their own decisions. We've got to recognize that God has a certain type of a way he wants us to walk, because he wants the best for us. All right, now I got to testify. I started at Best Buy in 2008, and I worked in a lot of positions that I didn't really like, because I was a single mom and I had to provide for my son and myself. I didn't use any government assistance. I didn't get on SNAP, medical card, or anything. I paid everything out of my own pocket, and his father did not have to pay. He did. He should have had to pay child support, but he was on Social Security. He was 10 years older than me. And so he didn't pay anything. I was doing it all. So I worked a lot of jobs on my own in a lot of positions that I did not like. Can I tell you some of the nasty things that people did? And they said they were Christians. They said they were Christians. While I'm on the phone, and y'all know how the people, they probably have it different now. They do have Bluetooth devices, but I was like this on the phone with the cord connected to the phone. And whenever I would sit there and do my job, these people who claimed they were Christians would walk behind me and let off gas where I couldn't even get up and get away from the nastiness. I'm just telling you, this paper right here that I've just said today, the Boaz character, we need this in our life. We don't need to be doing nasty stuff like that. I'm just saying, it might be cute to you, but it was kind of ridiculous. I'm assuming you never had it done to you, because it's disgusting. It's kind of like, okay, say it's your husband, which I can see, some funny husbands trying some silly stuff like this for their daughters or their wives, stick their head under the blanket and do that. You know what I mean? But when you're working and trying to make a living, like, they didn't even care that I'm trying to do this thing all by myself. It was like making me miserable while I'm working to try to take care of myself and my son. I just couldn't believe it. That's why this is so important to me. And I know everybody thinks it's a joke. Everybody thinks everything's funny. But honestly, do you think God's going to say, oh, it's okay, you were just being funny? When you've hurt someone and they've had to struggle. When I was at church today, they were talking about how, what is it? We had like a study or whatever. How can you walk out your faith? How can you walk out your faith in front of other people? Harsh jesting, sometimes we don't know how it can affect another person. We don't know if it bothers them. We don't know what they've been through. For instance, you might talk about something, the person you're looking at's absolutely normal, but you start talking about someone with a problem that has been born with a defect, right? And you kind of make a joke about it. That person has heard that to their sister, brother, mother, whoever it was, or their mom and dad might be blind. See, we're all connected. In some way, we are all connected. And if we don't see that our connections can hurt the body, absolutely the body of humanity, we gotta love each other. We gotta help each other get through the junky parts of life. And it is kind of funny, to joke around, play around and stuff, but not when I'm trying to work, honey. I was not happy to be there already. I was already not happy that I had to do all this on my own. And so I had this in my mind every day. I'm going to tell you, the people that I worked with wound up being so cruel and nasty to me. It was horrible. Um, I remember walking into the work, and I would pray, Lord, encamp your angels round about me, because I am miserable here and I have to take care of this child. I had a supervisor slide down over to me. I had asked her a question about my job. Instead of giving me an answer, she said, if I give you the answer, do you actually think you're going to learn anything? Well, first of all, if you tell me, then I'll be able to keep it in my mind and keep it for the next time so I don't have to bother you about it. It was stupid. I kind of think to myself, what kind of childhood did you have? What kind of a life did you have that you were being that cruel to other people? That's not a good leader. And like I said, I'll read it over again if y'all want it. But a characteristic like Boaz is what you need, men and women. I like it a whole lot. And I like it, I think, because it has eventually went down the line to Jesus. And his character shows up in Jesus, in David. All of that line. It was brought down generation to generation. You are responsible for your children, whether you know it or not. You're instilling in them what kind of future they're going to have. So maybe you didn't like your life, or maybe you did, but then you decide, oh, I don't want to really teach them any morals, or my mom was too hard on me. She didn't let me do anything until I was 20. Then when I got out, I went wild and did whatever I wanted to do. Then I eventually came back to the Lord at age 50 or 30 or whatever. Just saying, guys, everybody's walking their own walk. But I know from my experience, because that's what I was telling you, I worked for Best Buy until 2024. And I actually, while I was there, I got promoted during COVID to work for corporate. And so I worked for corporate through Best Buy from home. And eventually they wound up discontinuing the entire department. So I ended up unemployed. I had worked most of my life. I worked 10 years in a bank, 16 years at the Best Buy. And then I came out of there with nothing, y'all. What am I going to do now? I'm 50 years old. How am I going to work or do something? So I started to send out things, because I was doing, trying to get, what is it called? When you don't have a job, unemployment. I was trying to get unemployment, and you have to go in, you have to fill out these applications and all that. So I did. I sent applications into the places that I'd worked before. I applied for a custodian position because I didn't have any degree. I had no degree. So I applied for a custodian position at the school. And I tell you, it was just to try to get this home. I didn't think they would call me. I don't have no experience as a custodian. Worked most of my life in the bank and working on the phone, helping people with their technology. I knew nothing about cleaning. So I said, okay. Yeah, it's pretty bad in Kentucky too. I didn't get but maybe one check. But anyway, so they called me and they were like, we want an interview with you. And I was like, okay. And so I didn't go. I didn't go. I'm not laughing because I didn't go. I'm laughing at myself for thinking that I didn't want to do it. Because that eventually got me where I'm at. And I'm going to show you. I'm laughing at it because it's funny to me now what God did in my life to get me where I'm at now. So after I got laid off, let me mention this too, because this is another thing God did. When I got laid off, they gave me this huge fat settlement. Really nice fat check. A lot of it went into taxes, which I didn't really like, but I got them back at tax time, which was fine. But when I paid my car off, it wasn't 3 months later, I totaled it. I thought, my goodness, I lost my job. And when I got that money, I put full coverage on the car for a year. I already paid it all up. And so I was like, okay, I got full coverage insurance. Let me find out if they can give me a rental car till we figure out what we're going to do. So I got a rental car, was driving that back and forth to work because I did eventually take that job. Let me tell you why. The next day, the principal called me and said, Crystal, we really want you to come for this interview. I know you couldn't make it, but we'd really like you to come in. I'm like, okay. Since you called me and you're making this a huge effort, I guess I better do it. So I was like, this has got to be a God thing. 2 times them calling me. I'll do it. So I went the whole drive over there. I'm like, God, I don't want to clean up after these teenagers. They were all middle school kids. I don't want to clean up after these middle school aged kids. They're all smart mouths. I was thinking of all the most horrible things when I got there. So I go into the interview. There's two women, the vice principal and the principal, and they're starting to talk to me. And they're like, okay, you know what you're going to be doing, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty much cleaning up after the kids and making sure everybody's safe. They're like, yeah, but we have this other position we'd like for you to do. I'm like, what? I had completely forgot about when I had my child 20 plus years ago that I went to college and I got like 96 college credit hours. So I could be an assistant teacher. I had pretty good grades too. I had to stop going because the father got on drugs and nobody to take care of him. I had to move back home. All of my plans got destroyed. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. That'll be fine. But I was going to be working in the medical something, something, something as an assistant teacher. I'm not big on medical, okay? But there were only 3 kids in the room. One had seizures, the other two, I'm not sure, they had some kind of medical thing wrong too. So, but there was 3 people in that room. And there was 3 kids. And I was like, okay, I don't think I really need to be in here. Well, what happened was they contacted the 2 assistant teachers and said, one of you need to go down and help this other teacher because she's having to deal with multiple behavioral students in her class and it's too much for her to handle on her own. I said, okay, I'll go. I've had to deal with trauma. I've had to deal with almost fist fighting with a 50 something year old man, been in prison. I mean, I had encountered some things in my life. I wasn't real terrified about these teenage boys, but I was still not enjoying it. You know what I mean? So I went down there and I wound up staying there. But anyway, I didn't really like working with the teenage boys because they did have a lot of fighting and I didn't like it. It made me come home and my emotions, I don't think I can deal with it emotionally more than just the physical aspect. The physical aspect of it, I pretty much can numb that pretty easily. I don't care. Hit, punch, whatever, with so much, type of stuff like that I had to deal with men. I can get rid of that thought and that feeling. I can numb myself physically, but my emotions, I care too much. And so I realized that I didn't want to do that either, because the boys were beating each other up. I mean, bloodying people's mouths and just there. And I didn't really mesh too well with the teacher either. So it was kind of hard. She had been a bully in the past. I had been one of the victims of the bullying. I was like, this isn't working. Like, you have a whole nother way of looking at life. So I asked for to be transferred, and so I moved to elementary school. Loved it, loved it. They were probably rougher than the teenage boys. They would bite, and they would do other really mean throw things and just like crazy stuff. But at least, I could run a little bit faster because my legs were longer, to help prevent them from hurting other people. Whenever one of the boys at the middle school had behaved in such a way that he was harming himself, I knew I don't want to be in this. If I'm going to hurt someone to a point, or just saying something that offended them to the point where they're wanting to hurt themselves, I don't want to be in that. So when I seen him, biting himself and hitting himself, I just didn't want to deal with it. So I was ready to leave. But while I was in the middle school, it opened up an opportunity for me to start searching for school again. And so I was like, you know what? I was going to school to be a teacher in the first place. Now I'm an assistant teacher. Let's do this. So, come to find out, check this out, the school I'm going to, the grants that I get for going to school pay for my tuition. In fact, they pay me because the grants are so much that it's over what they actually need for me to go to school. So I'm getting paid from them to go to school, which is absolutely amazing. Now, I do go ahead and get my student loans because right now I don't want to work. I've decided after last year, had a few things happen, and just me aging and health issues coming up and all these different things that's happened in the last little bit since January. I've had diabetes for 30 years. Okay, so I'm 50 years old, so around 20 something is when they found out that I had diabetes, and it's not reversible. It's not something you can just take a pill and it's over with. This is something you live with the rest of your life. Right now I'm wearing a insulin pump, and it made me gain 40 pounds last year when they put me on it. I'm not happy about it, but my sugars, my A1C is around 6.1, which is pre-diabetic actually. So that all this has happened within the last few years. Now what I'll say has changed is the fact that I said no to promiscuity, no to hanging out with guys and doing things that I don't want to do. I have been tempted by men. And I'll tell you, I just can't believe some of the men's characters. And what I really can't believe is the fact that I fell for it again. Like I kind of keep wanting to see the good in people, but the people keep showing you what they're made of. And he kept doing it all the time. I'm at the point now, I'm getting ready to go onto my social media and delete them from my phone, block them from my phone. Don't call me. Don't come around me. You are nothing but a troublemaker. See, the Lord showed me that people who are not for God are searching for bad things to happen. And if you hook up with them, guess what? You are part of the problem. If you try to resist it and not connect and say, nope, I don't want nothing to do with it, it's very unlikely that you're going to be trapped into the sin that they're doing. It took forever for me to learn this. I hope somebody's listening, because I sure wish somebody would have told me. I mean, honestly, I don't think I ever had nobody tell me, honestly. I really don't. I really, truly don't. They'll say they did, but I don't think they ever really did. Not in the way that I'm telling you. I'm being straight and honest with you because I'm trying to keep you from having to go through all that. And that's the one thing it's calls us to do when we're Christians, is to help other people not make the same mistakes as you. Help them be reconciled back to God. And so that is what my objective is for everybody. I may do rock and roll competitions, but my main goal is to try to see if you want to know Jesus Christ. I'll sing with you all day long. A little bit of what else? What I like? Pride and Joy. I said Santana sung that, but I don't think he did. Who did that? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Well, I finished up with my story today. We've been over here. Let's see, how long we've been in this now? It's been over an hour, I know, because it already popped up and said I've been in here for 40 minutes a while ago. But I'm going to jump off of here and I'll come back. Or if I don't go to church, what time is it? I only got 30 minutes to get there. If I'm going, I may go to church. I've been on here an hour. So praise the Lord. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope what I told you is good. Please be a Boaz man, and women, wait for Boaz man to come and get you. All right? Don't be out here doing stupid stuff. Love y'all. Be good. See you around the merry-go-round.